Hey, cat.
Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. I'm glad you came back for another week of Gaming Eats. I said last week I'd do another holiday themed video, and here it is from World of Warcraft. During this time of year, Winterveil is celebrated in Warcraft, so I chose recipes that are closely related to it from the official cookbook. Coming up, we have a Winterveil Roast, along with some sautéed carrots, and some gingerbread cookies to go with our Winterveil Eggnog. First, I'll prep my sautéed carrots. It's just 5 simple ingredients. We have honey, soy sauce, carrots, ginger, and unsalted butter. I'll start by preparing my carrots with a vegetable peeler. I'm just going to peel the skin off and then set it aside. Then I'll just cut the bottoms and tops off. Then I'm just going to cut my carrots into an oblique shape, which just means at a slant, instead of sticks that the recipe tells me to, because I can easily adjust how big the pieces are so that they're very similar in shape, which means they'll all cook at the same rate. To cut the carrot into an oblique shape, the first cut you'll make will be on the bias, or slanted. Then you'll rotate the carrot about 180 degrees, or halfway over. Then you'll do another cut at the same angle, and then turn it back to where you started and just repeat the process with the mindset of keeping the pieces a similar size. When all of it has been cut, we're just going to set it aside and start peeling the ginger. If you watched the skewered peanut chicken video, we're going to do the same technique. Just use a spoon and peel the skin off. Then we're going to mince it up, and to do that I'm just going to cut a side on the ginger to make a flat surface and put it face down so that it doesn't wobble around while I'm cutting it. Then I'm just going to line them up and start cutting them into sticks. After they're all cut into stick shape, we're just going to rotate it again and just run our knife through it and mince it up. After it's minced up to how you like it, we're just going to put it in a bowl and set it aside. The last step for prepping our sautéed carrots is to cut off 2 tablespoons from this unsalted butter stick. Then we'll set everything aside for when we're ready to make it. Now we'll work on our Winterveil roast, and we'll go over the ingredients for the roast itself and the sauce that goes with it. For the roast, we were supposed to have a top round, but I couldn't find it in any grocery stores around me. Only the eye of round and the bottom round, which is from the same area but not quite the same. I have a bottom round here, which has a similar flavor as the top, but isn't as tender due to the grain being tighter on the bottom round, and also a little bit smaller because it also shares a space with the eye of the round. Then for the rest of the ingredients, we have olive oil, salt, and pepper, and everything is to taste. Then for the sauce, we have ginger, salted butter, shallots, ground cinnamon, balsamic vinegar, and any red wine you'd like. To start the roast, I'm just going to put it in an iron skillet since I don't have a roasting pan, and then I'm going to liberally rub oil all over it with one hand and keep my other hand for seasoning. I really suggest being heavy-handed on the salt and pepper since it's a large piece of meat and it really needs that seasoning. I'm used to searing it on all sides before roasting it, but the recipe just wants us to put it in a 400-degree oven after we've completely oiled and seasoned our roast. While the roast is, well, roasting, we're just going to start on our sauce. The first thing we need to do is prep our ingredients, and I'm going to start that by cutting this salted butter stick in half, and then I'll peel and cut my shallots, which is done in a very similar fashion as an onion, which is with a flat palm, a quick cut through the middle, and a quick cut on top, and then a run through with my knife. When we're all done with the shallots, we're just going to throw it into the sauce pot and move on to the ginger. We're using the leftover ginger from the carrots, and I'll just give it a rough chop. In the end, it doesn't really matter too much how you cut it, since they're all going to be strained out anyways, but you do want to cut it a little bit. Lastly, I'll add my balsamic vinegar and red wine, then I'll toss it on the stove to simmer for about 15 minutes while I whisk in some chunks from my butter every now and then. While the sauce is simmering on the stove, we're just going to start doing our gingerbread cookie dough. We have an egg, unsalted butter, ginger, all-purpose flour, baking soda, holiday spices, dark brown sugar, unsulfured molasses, salt, and vanilla extract. I made a batch of holiday spices in my Thanksgiving video, but in case you missed it, forgot it, or don't want to rewatch it, I'll recap it here. I have ginger, cloves, nutmeg, cinnamon, and cardamom, all of which are ground, and we're just going to put it in this bowl and mix it. Any leftover spices can go in this plastic bag for future use. For our dough, we're just going to start off by doing ginger again, and I'm not tired of peeling ginger at all. Then we'll just grate what we need and probably throw the rest out in the trash. Well, maybe not. I want to, but that'd be such a waste. We're probably going to need ginger again at some point anyways. Then we're just going to put our room temperature butter and our dark brown sugar in the same mixing bowl and set it aside while we prep everything else. I'm just going to reuse the measuring cup that I used for my sugar for my holiday spices, because why not? It's already a mess in here and it's less cleanup in the end. Then I'll measure out my flour, baking soda, and salt in a separate bowl as my dry ingredients. I'll measure out my molasses in that measuring cup I just used for my spices, and I'll put those holiday spices in a different used measuring cup because I already did it once, so why not? Then I'll move on to cracking this egg into a bowl and adding the vanilla to it. Finally, I'm going to measure out my ginger, and then we'll be ready to start making our gingerbread cookie dough. The dough starts off with creaming the butter and sugar together, scraping the sides every so often just to make sure there aren't any pockets of unincorporated butter. When it's nicely creamed, I'll add in the egg and the vanilla, then I'll wait until that's mixed in, followed by my holiday spice mix, and then the last wet ingredient I'll add is my molasses, and then I'll let it run for a little bit before scraping the sides again, making sure everything gets in the dough. The last step is to add in our dry mixture slowly, and if you've seen my Minecraft video, I made sure to let everyone know that going too fast can result in flour all over the place. And avoiding unnecessary messes is like avoiding a coworker you hate. You only want to deal with it if you have to. The actual last step is to add the ginger, I guess. The recipe didn't really tell me when to add it, unless it considers ginger a dry ingredient, in which case this is exactly when it goes in, so I guess problem solved. Now we'll just scoop it out of the bowl with a plastic bench scraper onto some plastic wrap and then throw it in the fridge to chill for an hour. While the dough is chilling, we can make our royal icing, and since I thought I was recording earlier but it wasn't, I already put everything into my mixing bowl, but it's just 3 simple ingredients: powdered sugar, water, and meringue powder. If you can't find meringue powder at your grocery store, craft stores like Michael's or Hobby Lobby usually have it. If that doesn't work, there's always Amazon. So I put all the ingredients in the bowl and started mixing, but the ratio seemed a little off since the icing seemed really hard. I ended up adding about an extra half tablespoon of water to see if it would loosen up a little bit, but it was still really thick. I think in the end I added about 2 or 3 tablespoons of extra water just to make the icing look like something I've worked with before. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but my best guess would be that the powdered sugar should have been sifted before measuring, because when you sift the powdered sugar, it makes it a little bit airier, thus having less of it, and probably the correct ratio for the recipe. In the end though, I corrected my mistake with a bit more water, and the royal icing still hardened after being piped onto the cookies. Hopefully this video will save at least one person from making such a mistake, or maybe help someone else solve their problems with it. After it looks like this, we're just going to put it in a bowl and cover it with a wet paper towel, then cover that with plastic wrap so it doesn't dry out, because if you leave it out, it will dry really fast and it'll form a very hard shell, making it almost impossible to spread. Now that the dough has been chilling for an hour, we're going to roll it out. The first thing we need to do is flour our bench or countertop and then roll it out. I didn't flour enough the first time, so it kind of stuck to my countertop and it tore up when I tried to move it. I started over by using my bench scraper to take off all the little bits off my countertop and mixed it again by just kneading it together lightly. After the dough seemed to put together, I rolled it out to about a 1/4 inch thickness before cutting it up again. I didn't have any cookie cutters for fun shapes, so I just ended up using a ring mold that I had to cut out small circles. After cutting out all the circles, I put it on a baking tray with a silicone mat. As always, you can use parchment, but silicone mats are where it's at since they're reusable. Then we're just going to pop these guys in a 350-degree oven for about 10 minutes. I know it's only been a second for you, but these guys are ready. I'm going to take them off the tray and let them cool before icing them. Our sauce has been simmering away for about 15 minutes, and I've already added the butter periodically. As I was straining out the shallots and ginger, it looked like the butter didn't get mixed in correctly with the sauce. My suggestion to fix this broken emulsion is to splash a little bit of water into it and whisk it until it all comes together while on a medium-low heat. I didn't do this and left it as is, and as you can see, the result is a broken, unemulsified sauce. It's actually pretty sad. But moving on, our Winterveil Roast is ready. The thermometer should read 145 degrees when you go through with it, and mine does. I didn't take into account carryover cooking, and I should have stopped a few degrees earlier to get a nice pink inside, but it should still be pretty decent. I'm just going to let it rest for about 20 minutes while I get everything else ready. The reason for the rest is so that all the juices stay inside and not outside. The spots where I jammed the thermometer in is leaking those precious juices, a necessary sacrifice. For our carrots, we're just going to fill a pot with water and heavily salt it, then mix it in and boil it. Once it starts boiling, we're going to throw in our carrots until they're tender, which should take roughly 8 minutes. Then we'll strain them and set them aside while we melt some butter in a pan on medium-low heat. Well, it seems like I made another mistake while rushing to get through this and forgot to record melting the butter, then adding the carrots and soy sauce. I'm so sorry. But after doing those two things, we're just going to cook it until it starts browning a bit on the outside. When it gets a bit more browned, we'll add in the honey and the ginger, and we'll let it cook a little longer to further caramelize. When it has a lot of nice brown spots, it'll just go on a plate like this. And these sauteed carrots are complete. Alright, with our carrots finished, we'll move on to our Winterveil eggnog. We have our milk, heavy cream, dark rum, and this empty spot here was supposed to be for brandy, but the liquor store was packed yesterday. We also have nutmeg, vanilla extract, eggs, and sugar. Everything is all measured out, and the only thing that goes in this pot right now is the milk and the sugar. Then we're just going to take it to the stove. On medium heat, we're just going to heat up the milk a little bit before whisking in the eggs one at a time. When they're all in, we're just going to continue whisking and cooking for about 10 to 15 minutes. I'm going to spare you the pain of watching me complain about whisking for so long because of my arthritic hands and wrists. It's been about 10 minutes of whisking and the mixture is getting a little thick, so I'm just going to remove it off the stove and strain it just in case any of the eggs got a little cooked. After straining, I'll add in my vanilla, cream, and then I'll pour half of it out and leave that without the rum while adding rum to this half. We'll chill both mixtures and save grating the nutmeg for when we're about to serve it. While the eggnog is chilling, we can start working on the cookies. I've made a parchment cone here, but you can use a Ziploc or pastry bag with a tip to decorate. You can write or decorate whatever you want on these cookies. I'm pretty original, I think, with writing my name badly on this cookie. Or, if you're a sugar fiend like me, you can just take a glob of it and just spread it all over that cookie. Our Winterveil Roast has been resting for a while, and I'm just going to slice it up a little bit. The roasting pan is filled with a lot of delicious meat juices, and the recipe doesn't use it at all. But with that, I'm going to make a quick pan gravy that isn't a part of the cookbook because I feel like it's such a waste otherwise. I'm not going to show myself making the pan gravy since it has nothing to do with Warcraft, but it'll pop up during tasting. And with that, here is our Winterveil inspired dinner.
Hey, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
Alright, so what are these?
The sauteed carrots.
carrots.
Good. I like it.
Is it garlicky?
A little bit
I don't know.
sweet and a little bit salt.
Bamboo?
It's some, what kind of herb is it?
So it's just soy sauce, ginger, and honey.
The ginger good for the winter. I really love it. A little bit crunchy, not really soft. That's good. And a sweet from the carrots.
You can cut a piece or you can take one of the pieces I already cut. There's two sauces that go with it.
Okay.
So the gravy is not actually a part of the recipe. It's just something that I didn't want to
A little bit of it. And you want that sauce too, Mom?
That's why I just put one salt in one piece of steak, and this one is the another one. Let me see which one is can be good with the steak.
All right. The pets look like they want some food.
The brown sauce a little bit sour, right? No, this one a
The
little
purple
bit
sauce.
purple sauce, but it's good.
It's just
Oh,
Wine.
red wine. How about
Yeah,
I
wine
try
sauce does smell
to?
tastes good. A little bit like Worcestershire, a little bit.
the red sauce.
Yeah, both are pretty good. With the carrots, yeah, even better.
Both are very good, but I love the brown one more.
I like the
Maybe it doesn't have a wine in there. That's why. The steak is moisture, salt
Right,
is good. Oh, it's good. I love it.
two different tastes, but they're both pretty good.
But everything is good. I love it. Brown sauce better than the purple sauce because the purple sauce have a little bit wine in it. Yeah. How about a drink?
So you have to like and subscribe. Hey, so the eggnog or what?
I have accent marks on it. Oh, that's
So this
very
one-
very crunchy.
Eggnog, do you like eggnog?
That's why I just thought it's creamy.
Yes, eggnog. Do you usually
Eggnog. I never drink that before.
Yeah, me neither.
I saw in the store they have quarter or something in the garden cotton, but I don't know what to do with that.
You drink it.
What do you mean? Eggnog mean? Egg, I know, but nog, what does it mean?
Technically, this is my first time drinking it.
Yep.
Out of all my
But it's
million
good
years
too.
I've had.
Is it good?
Yeah. Both with that.
Oh,
the
now
right?
I know what
Yeah.
eggnog is.
This one's more sweeter. That one has a little bit of alcohol.
Đắng quá. No, very
That means
bitter.
very bitter.
Mẹ không có phân tích. I am not I'm not no wine, liquor, and what else? I always say wine. Everything is wine. I eat a little bit Mary, and then I'm going to eat a Axia. That's what they call Axia Max. Now Mary Max, no X in it. Max,
You like it.
I think will be a maximum.
Have some more of this.
I hope next year is better.
Yeah.
Cheers. Merry Christmas!
I hope everyone had a great holiday and thank you for stopping by. I really do appreciate Amy and all the support I get. Forgive me for making all the mistakes I did during the video. 2020 has definitely been one of the crazier years and I'm glad it's coming to a close soon. Next week is the start of a new year, so I'll be making things that are a little healthier with Dungeons and Dragons. So I wish you all the best and I'll see you next week.